Good day, dear viewers. This is Demola Uyele, welcoming you to another episode of Leaders Arise. We began some couple of episodes ago, I think 2 episodes ago, and today again is another session in furtherance of the teaching we've been having on leadership some couple of episodes ago. So I want to welcome you. It's a time to learn time-proven leadership principles that will help you to advance in whatever it is that you do. And then you may want to visit my Facebook page at Pastor Demola Uyele to get yourself on board the previous editions of the previous episodes that we've had. But today we would like to continue as fast as we can. So get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself a comfortable learning position or posture, and of course invite people around you. Let's all sit down and learn as far as the subject of leadership is concerned. So this episode, I want to further on what we discussed the last episode, where I was teaching you about the 2 sides to leadership. The 2 sides to leadership. I'm sure you can remember that. If you were part of that episode, I was letting us understand that leadership has 2 legs, and anyone that must succeed in leadership, all right, must be able to stand on both legs. All right, you don't have the chance to win in a race or to win a race if you are only walking or standing on one leg. All right, there is a reason why God make things around us to operate in twos. All right, it makes our eyes to be. It made our eyes to be 2. Our ears to be 2, and all our legs, our hands, and all of that. All right. So the 2 actually brings about balance, or talks about balance. So last episode I was able to expatiate on that, and I emphasized majorly on the place of character and also the place of capacity, where I shared from Psalm 78 verse 70 to 72, where the scripture says David led the people of God, or fed the people of God with the integrity of his heart, and of course he shepherded them or led them with the skillfulness of his hand. So I emphasized during that episode that you need a combination of a good heart and also a good hand, all right, to be an effective leader. It's not enough to have a good heart, it is also very important, all right, to have a good hand. So your heart talks about your integrity. It talks about your sincerity, while your hands talk about your skill. So I remember I emphasized that day, or during that episode, that sincerity is not enough. You know, some people say, I'm very sincere. All right, as a pastor, I'm sincere. As an employee, I'm sincere. As a father at home, or a wife, or a husband, I'm sincere. But listen to me, sincerity is not enough. All right, it's not only sincerity that makes a great leader. All right, sincerity is the foundation, but skill actually is what accounts for productivity. And that was just a recap on what we discussed during the last episode. So for today's episode, I would like to further on where we actually stop, and by also emphasizing about the 2 sides of leadership. But in this episode, I would like to call those 2 sides of leadership, I would like to call them what I call faithfulness and fruitfulness. All right, if you have been around service, you've been around leadership, you've been around engagement in whatever it is you do, maybe in the local church, maybe in your place of work, all right, maybe in your whatever sphere of endeavor that you operate from, you must have had these 2 words, all right, being used. You've heard about faithfulness, you've heard about fruitfulness, and then most times they use them together. Why some make the mistake of using them interchangeably. Some say when you are faithful and you are fruitful, as if they are the same. All right. So, but today I quickly want to do an exegesis on those two very important statements as far as leadership or living is concerned: faithfulness and fruitfulness. So, you want to call it this episode, you want to title it "Faithfulness versus Fruitfulness." All right, which is, of course, another two sides of leadership that I'm going to be sharing today. All right, so I believe that for you to be the leader that God has ordained you to be, you have got to know how to manage or combine faithfulness with fruitfulness. Faithfulness with fruitfulness. All right, in my journeys in leadership, particularly in the church world, all right, I think I've had over the years when people say when you are faithful, you'll be fruitful. In fact, some people say that faithfulness is what matters. All right, that when you get before God, God will necessarily check your faithfulness. All right, if you are a church person, this must have been spoken about over time. Faithfulness. Faithfulness. As a pastor, I've preached a number of times about faithfulness. And I've not changed my mind. Faithfulness is fundamental. God is looking for those who are faithful. All right. God is looking for those who are faithful. Apostle Paul was speaking in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, all right, verse 1 and 2. He said, "Let a man so account of us as ministers of Christ and as stewards of the mysteries of Christ." He said it is required in stewardship that a man be found faithful. It is required in stewardship that a man be found faithful. Now, if you check the parable of the talent that Jesus gave severally in the scriptures, maybe you want to focus on Matthew 25 or some other portion of the Bible. All right, Jesus, the response that the master of those servants gave when they all came back to show what they did with their talent that was given them, the response of the master was, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I'm sure you must have heard that before. Well done or welcome, good and faithful servant. So when we all get to heaven, we want God to welcome us with that statement, "Well done, good and faithful servant." But it's amazing how or why we emphasize on the faithfulness. In fact, when I quoted that scripture now, what resonated or what sounded more in your heart was faithful. Well done, good and faithful. But you didn't take note, probably, that the first word that came before faithfulness was good. Did you see that? I'm sure you are thinking about that now. Well done, good and what? Faithful servant. Well done, good and faithful servant. So maybe I want to say it this way. There is every possibility that somebody can be welcomed with well done, bad and faithful servant. Somebody say, yeah, because if there is good servant, there can be bad servant. So I want to quickly say today that I believe that the word good actually can be translated to mean fruitful. You are good. You are good at whatever. That word good is not a moral statement. It's a statement of effectiveness or productivity. So it doesn't say good, meaning you are righteous, you are holy. All of those will have been accounted for in faithfulness. So when he said good and faithful servant, I want to believe he meant well done, effective, or well done, productive and faithful. So I believe when we all stand before the Lord, when we stand before God after our time here on the earth, we want those two statements to characterize our engagement on earth. We want to be called good and faithful. Not just that we are faithful, but that we are good. So narrowing it down to my discussion today, I want us to understand that those two sides of leadership must be balanced. There is faithfulness side and there is fruitfulness side. Remember in John chapter 15, when Jesus was to talk about our calling as disciples, all right, he actually ordained us to be fruitful. All right, he said, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, all right, and I've ordained you to bear fruit," which is another way to say, I have ordained you to be fruitful. Are you following me today? I've ordained you to be fruitful. So what does it mean to be fruitful? To be fruitful simply means to produce results. Maybe in agricultural term, to be fruitful can mean to produce fruits, to produce results that are commensurate with your placement. Can I say that again? To produce results that are commensurate with your placement, that are commensurate with your platform. Now, today is not the time to talk about how God views fruitfulness, because if you check that Matthew 25, I was quoting the parable of the talent, whichever other portion of the Bible you want to say. He gave one 5, he gave another one 2, another one 1. They were measured, all right, not by the size of their results, but by the fact that their result was commensurate with the investment that was given them. The person that had 5 obviously needed to make 5 more. That was 10. That was fruitfulness. The person that had 2 needed to make 2 more, making 4. And the person that had 1 needed to make 1 more, making 2. So when I talk about fruitfulness, God is not asking you to deliver beyond your capacity. But God is saying deliver at a level that is commensurate with your capacity. So for instance, now the person that was giving 5, all right, if he had traded with the 5 and got 1 more or 2 more, making 7, he is not fruitful to his capacity. All right, and I think one thing that the guy with the 1 talent misunderstood was the fact that God gave me 1. This guy is having 5 additional, making 10. So maybe I'm expected to have 5 additional. In fact, he was blaming his master. He said, I know that you are a hard master. You are reaping where you have not sown. You gave me 1 and you are expecting me to have 10. All right, as my result. Because he was watching his friend that had 5 before, that now had 10, or the one that had 2 before, that now had 4. He never knew that what God actually wanted, what the master actually wanted from him, was an additional 1 to the one that he was given, so to make it 2. So fruitfulness actually is in levels, and fruitfulness is going to be a function of your placement, function of the investment that God has actually made into your life. But my emphasis today, really, I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, is to emphasize the fact that as a leader, as much as you are doing your best to be faithful, can I say today that fruitfulness is not automatic? Because I have had people say times without number that when you are faithful, you'll be fruitful. Well, I was actually running with that mindset over the years, all right, about 2 decades ago or thereabout, all right, that once I'm faithful, I'll be fruitful. That I should leave the fruitfulness to God. All right, I should focus on faithfulness. I should, as a pastor, I should pray, I should preach, I should do all I need to do, or I should be sincere, and all of that. That the result or the fruitfulness will eventually come. Now, that looks very good. It looks very correct. But I let you know today that as much as faithfulness is foundational, fruitfulness must be worked at. Fruitfulness must be worked at. I want to say that fruitfulness is not an automatic consequence of faithfulness. Yeah, we are discussing leadership. My job in this Leaders Arise is to help you to be productive. It's to take you a step beyond maybe what you have been hearing before now, that you have got to be faithful, you've got to be sincere, all right? You've got to be sincere as an employee, sincere as a pastor, sincere as a church worker, sincere as a president, without necessarily understanding there are some skill sets you have got to possess and deploy into your endeavors that will move you from the realm of just being faithful to the realm of being fruitful. So it is possible to be fruitful and not be faithful. That means that it is possible to get results the wrong way as a leader. For example, I've been taught over the years in leadership that you don't use your vision, you don't use people to build your vision. You use your vision to build people. So there are some leaders that achieve results at the expense of people. As a pastor, the church grows, but people are groaning. Something like that. As an employer of labor, the company expands, multiplies, but your workers are suffering. Or you are going about your endeavor, whether in church, in business, in politics, in a dubious way. And of course, you are getting results. You know, in the secular or in the world generally, they said you don't argue with results. Actually, God does argues with results. Yeah. God argues with results. You know, people say you don't argue with results. No, God argues with results. Because if you check the scripture very well, Moses was asked to speak to the rock so that water can come out for the Israelite to drink in the wilderness. But you know, maybe out of anger or sheer ignorance or disobedience, the Bible said Moses actually struck the rock with his rod and water came out. Obviously, you know that rock was Christ. And I want to bring you to the theology of that situation. But I'm emphasizing the fact that Moses actually struck the rock and water came out. But God was angry with him. He struck the rock, water came out. I'm sure the Israelites that drank the water will never have known what transpired between Moses and God. All they wanted to see was water because they were thirsty and they drank the water quite all right and they were fine. But listen to me, the process to getting the water was faulty. So in that context, I can say that Moses was fruitful, but he was not faithful. It is possible to build a big business, but through fraudulent means. It is possible to write an exam and come out the best, but actually you cheated in the exam. It is possible, all right, for you to pastor a church, and the church is a mega church in thousands or whatever you want to call it, but you are going about it in an unscriptural way. So don't let anybody fool you. God does argue with results. God does argue with results. There are some people that when they get before God, God will say, now your own you did, you didn't do my own. We celebrate them here on earth, they had results. They had results. Maybe I will emphasize another statement we normally say, the end justifies the means. No, the means justifies the end. Did you get what I just said now? Have you heard that statement before? The end justifies the means. No, the means justifies the end. God is not as much concerned about the product, he is also concerned about the process. So what are we doing today very quickly? We just want to consider faithfulness and fruitfulness as it relates to leadership. So I've emphasized the fact that the two of them must go side by side. You don't hold on to faithfulness and don't work at being fruitful. Neither should you be preoccupied with fruitfulness and not ensure that you are faithful. So I said number one, it is possible to be fruitful and not be faithful. So God argues with results. People of the world say the means, the end justifies the means. But God says the means justifies the end. So it is possible to be fruitful and not be faithful. Number two, it is possible to be faithful and not be fruitful. And I think the larger part of church folks falls into this category. All right, faithful people, faithful pastor, faithful wife, faithful this. Now, I am not teaching today to discourage faithfulness. Don't forget what I said. God argues with results. Our result must be gotten or must be achieved the right way. So I'm not downplaying on faithfulness. But like I said, you can be fruitful and not be faithful. You can be faithful and not be fruitful. But the third category, which I'm going to be zeroing on today, is that you can be faithful and be fruitful at the same time. In fact, your preoccupation must be to be faithful and be fruitful at the same time. And sincerely, I wouldn't want you to fall for this myth that a lot of people, particularly the faithful people, or the people who are faithful in their own eyes, they say, don't mind those people that are achieving results. Who knows? Who knows the dubious means or ways that they are getting their results? Somebody drives a Pajero Jeep or a Land Cruiser around you and you just ease. You don't even know some of these people. Their hands are not clean. You don't know. If you ever live your life that way, you're not going to be a great leader. Don't be too quick to conclude that whoever is fruitful must be unfaithful somewhere. No. That somebody is riding the best of cars, is engaging in an illegitimate business. No, not everybody. If a pastor is pastoring a mega church of tens of thousands, don't be too quick to say, he's using something. He's using something. Or when a lady is rising fast in her career, don't say she's using bottom power, like they say inside of the world. That she has slept with her boss, that's why they are promoting her. She has slept with lecturer, that's why her GP as a student, CGP as a student is rising. Never fall for that myth. That anybody that is fruitful must have compromised on faithfulness somewhere. Now, that is very possible. Quite a lot of people do that, but don't generalize it. That whenever anybody is fruitful, he must have compromised on faithfulness somewhere. No. It is very possible to be faithful and to be fruitful at the same time. It is possible to be holy and prosperous at the same time. It is possible to serve God as a student on campus and graduate as the best student. In fact, actually, that is what should be. It is possible to be faithful to God as a pastor, following God in righteousness, pastoring healthily, loving people, loving God, sacrificing for God and the people of God, doing your best, maintaining integrity, and your church is growing. So it is not everybody that is fruitful that is unfaithful. Even though there are quite a number of people who are fruitful and are unfaithful, but my discussion with you today is you can be faithful and fruitful at the same time. And that is the purpose and the plan of God for us. That you are faithful and also fruitful at the same time. So very quickly, as I round up this broadcast, like I said, it is not automatic. It is not automatic. So this is a wake-up call to faithful people, that they need to not only be concerned about faithfulness, they should also be concerned about fruitfulness. And this is a wake-up call to fruitful people also to not be too submerged in the drive or pursuit of fruitfulness that they are lacking in faithfulness. Now, where the high point of this broadcast is today is for you to learn what am I supposed to do to be both faithful and fruitful at the same time. How can you be faithful? Love God, follow God, be sincere. Don't do what it is that will not please God. Don't cheat people, maintain integrity of heart, like I said in the last episode. So I would not want to belabor that. But what do you do to be fruitful? Add leadership to whatever it is you do. That your church is not growing may not really be that the devil is at work. Neither am I saying that the devil does not fight churches or hinder them from growing. That your business is struggling may not necessarily mean that you are a backslider. And that you are a faithful follower of God and your business is not growing, don't let the devil make you feel as if God is unfair. God is just mad at me. I don't know. Maybe it does not even pay to serve Jesus. No, you just have to learn. What am I supposed to do to bring in fruitfulness? Alright. And that's where the subject of leadership comes in. You've got to learn. You've got to learn. What are those things I've got to bring to bear on my endeavor that will make me not only to be faithful but to be fruitful? As a student, what are the things I need to bring to my academics? Alright? What are the laws of success? What are the principles of success? Because you cannot be breaking principles and be claiming promises. You cannot be saying, I shall be the head and not the tail, whereas you are not doing the things that the people that are the head do. You cannot be singing, standing on the promises of God, whereas all you are doing is sitting in the premises. You cannot be claiming holiness and be loafing around. As a pastor, you cannot be claiming that your call is authentic, but your diligence is nowhere to be found. As an employee at a place of work, you cannot be claiming that you are paying your tithes in church, or you are the first person to get to office or your place of work, but you are not doing your work well. You are not acquiring the needed skill that will give you an edge in your place of work. You are not going the extra mile. So when the time of promotion comes and you are not promoted, you are quick to blame the devil. You are sometimes quick to blame God and say God is not faithful, or you are quick actually to blame the system, that the system is so corrupt. I understand that a lot of systems are corrupt, but what about the system through which you run your whole life? Is it a defective system, a one-legged system, a system that only prides itself on faithfulness without understanding the need to do what you need to do to actually bring fruitfulness to bear on your endeavors? So as we continue in this season, my charge for you really is to add fruitfulness to your faithfulness. I read somewhere in 1 Samuel or thereabout, David became the successor of Saul. In fact, a celebrated successor for that matter. And Saul was very angry. Saul was gunning after the life of David because he felt this guy has stolen the show. Can I tell you how David stole the show? David actually stole the show by fruitfulness. Remember, the women were singing about David. He said, Saul has killed his 1,000, David has killed his 10,000. Now, that wasn't just a rhyme. That was something that was practical. David literally go out there to fight battles, while Saul was loafing around. So people began to gravitate towards David because they saw that he was a productive leader. Are you following me today? In fact, when David was to ascend the throne, somebody made a statement, or maybe the people made a statement, said, why Saul was with us? You were the one that went out with us and came back with us. Can you imagine? Even while Saul was on the throne, Saul was perhaps a figurehead leader. He was a positional leader, not a productive leader. And people began to watch. Alright, the women, women has a way of blowing up things. They said, Saul has killed his 1,000 David because Saul was not doing the job of a leader. The moment David showed up and Saul saw that David was skillful, David was sincere and all of that, he handed over leadership to David. He never knew that handing over of leadership work to David was actually helping David to be fruitful. Are you following me? So that fruitfulness actually endeared people to David. And the same thing with you. You don't have to be the boss at your place of work. You don't have to be the departmental leader. You can be a junior staff or whatever, but there's a way you can gain prominence. There is a way you can rise into stardom, and that way is to ensure that you are not just occupying a position, you are not just complaining or loafing about, but you are engaging in the principles that make for productive engagement. You are engaging in principles that make for productivity. You are engaging in principles that make for effectiveness. So while others are loafing around in your place of work, you are doing your best, all right, to add value to that organization, all right? You are doing your best to produce results. In fact, you are going the extra mile. So when you do that as an employee, you will not be afraid of retrenchment. You will, even if you are sacked or retrenched, the values you have added to yourself and to the organization will always speak for you in your next place of appointment. So what am I saying today as I round up in a couple of minutes? Don't only view leadership or life with the lens of faithfulness alone. No, don't only view life with the lens of faithfulness alone. Understand fruitfulness. God wants results. When the parable that Jesus gave about the master, all right, that put his servant in the vineyard, when he left them, he said, occupy till I come. One version said, do business till I come. Or you can say, make profit till I come. And I also believe that when God or Jesus left all of us here on earth, his charge to us is occupy till I come. Do business till I come. Make progress till I come. Make profit till I come. Be fruitful. You know, the mandate that God gave Adam in Genesis chapter 1 is be fruitful. Bring results. Multiply. Replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. In fact, take note of that statement. We're going to be teaching around that in some episodes to come. I hope today's episode of Leaders Arise has been a blessing to you. You can take it to whatever area of or sphere of influence that you've got as a wife at home, husband, pastor, church worker, MD, CEO, all right, president of a country, governor of a state, all right, a student on campus, businessman, or what have you. You can take this teaching to wherever it is that you find yourself. That I must stand on the leg of faithfulness and of course on the leg of fruitfulness. That is very possible for me to be faithful and not be fruitful. It is possible for me to be fruitful and not be faithful. And of course, it is very possible and expected that I be both faithful and fruitful. And the two of them have their set of laws, their set of principles, their set of rules that must be obeyed. You can't be breaking principles and expect to be a principal. You can be breaking principles and expect and be claiming promises. You cannot be breaking laws and expect to be a lord in your sphere of endeavor. So I leave you with that thought today. Go out there, making yourself productive, making yourself fruitful, pursuing both faithfulness and fruitfulness as the two legs that make leadership to be effective and to be lasting. I hope this broadcast has been a blessing to you. So talk to me on my social media handles, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, and of course WhatsApp. All right, you see the details scrolling on your screen. You want to do me a WhatsApp message on the contact details on the screen. You want to send messages to my Facebook page and all of that. And of course, you want to take advantage of our various resources, all right, that have been scrolled on that screen right now. They will sure be a blessing to you. So till I meet with you again on the next episode of Leaders Arise, keep on maximizing your life, keep on maximizing your leadership, and keep on maximizing your life of productivity. God bless you. Thank you for your time. See you again next time. Bye for now.